When three grown men humiliated a struggling mother in public, nobody said a word until an MMA fighter in a hoodie stepped in. Trevon Miles didn't want to be seen that afternoon. Exhausted from 5 straight days of grueling sparring sessions and the relentless pressure of UFC scouts watching his every move, he had one goal: to slip in and out of the Save More on Fremont Street unnoticed. His coach's warning played on a loop in his mind: one wrong move, Trey, and it's back to regional cards. So he kept his hoodie up, his earbuds in, though no music played, and his gaze low. The store was quiet, just how he liked it: a few elderly shoppers, a couple of teens bickering over frozen pizza, and the distant sound of a fussy baby. He moved like a shadow, sticking to the edges of the aisles, grabbing eggs, oatmeal, almond milk, and his usual muscle recovery drinks. Then the laughter cut through the hum of the store. Not the kind that came from joy, but the cruel, mocking kind that made his shoulders tense. Near the self-checkout, a young mother, her bleach-stained gray hoodie hanging loosely over her frame, a toddler balanced on her hip, was scanning diapers and cereal. Behind her, 3 men lounged against a display, their smirks sharp as knives. "Hey, lady, think they'll give me extra stamps if I wink at the cashier?" one of them jeered, elbowing his friend. Another snorted, "She's just teaching her kid how to hustle early." The mother, Alyssa, didn't react. Her hands trembled slightly as she swiped her EBT card, her focus locked on her son, Malachi, who clung to her neck with wide, uncertain eyes. The cashier glanced away, pretending not to hear. The other shoppers did the same, suddenly engrossed in their own groceries. Trevon froze. The scene hit too close to home. His own mother had been that woman, swallowing her pride, ignoring the whispers, doing whatever it took to keep her children fed. The third man made a loud, exaggerated kissing noise. "Swipe that card twice, one for the kid, one for me." Something inside Trevon snapped. He dropped his gym bag, the thud of it hitting the floor drawing a few glances, and strode forward. "Back up," he said, his voice low but firm. The men turned, expecting some scrawny do-gooder. Instead, they found themselves staring up at Trevon Miles, 6 feet 2 inches, shoulders broad from years of combat training, his dark eyes steady. The ringleader, a guy in cargo shorts, puffed out his chest. "Mind your business, bro." "My business," Trevon replied, "is watching 3 grown men act like high school punks around a mom just trying to feed her kid." The store went silent. Phones came out, recording. When cargo shorts shoved him, Trevon didn't react with anger. Instead, in one fluid motion, he twisted the man's wrist, dropping him to his knees with a controlled shoulder lock. "I could end this in 3 seconds, he murmured, his voice barely above a whisper. "But I'm not here for that. Leave." The bullies hesitated, then slunk away, muttering curses under their breath. The crowd erupted in murmurs, but Trevon ignored them, turning to Alyssa. "You okay?" he asked. She nodded, but her eyes were glassy with unshed tears. As she fumbled to gather her groceries, the cereal box slipped from her grip, spilling onto the floor. Trevon crouched beside her, helping her scoop it back into the box. "You don't owe anyone an explanation for surviving," he said softly. Alyssa's breath hitched. Those words, raw, unscripted, would later echo across the internet when the video of the encounter went viral. But in that moment, it was just the two of them, a mother who had finally been seen, and a fighter who had chosen kindness over silence. As Trevon walked out of the store, a nurse who had helped Alyssa to her car rolled down the window. "Thank you," Alyssa said, Malachi now asleep in her arms. "I didn't expect anyone to help." "You shouldn't have to expect it," he replied. The video spread like wildfire, but Trevon refused every interview request. "I didn't do anything special," he told his coach later that night. "I just didn't pretend not to see her." A week later, he bumped into Alyssa again at a community center. Malachi, recognizing him immediately, tugged at his pant leg. "You helped my mom," the boy declared solemnly. Alyssa smiled, then handed Trevon a folded letter, a promise she had written to her son, a reminder that survival was a badge of strength, not a burden of shame. No cameras captured that moment. No headlines celebrated it. But as Trevon slipped the letter into his pocket, he felt something deeper than any victory he'd ever had in the cage. It was peace, the kind that came from knowing he'd done the right thing, not for glory, but because it was simply the right thing to do. Sometimes, real strength isn't about winning. It's about standing up, quietly, firmly, when someone needs it most. And in a world that often looks the other way, that kind of strength is rare. But for Trevon Miles, it was just another day. Subscribe to our channel Black Resistance for amazing and new stories. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.